There's no denying the craftiness of the ego. That is it for sure. And it's relentless, and it'll use everything in its power, every trick in the book to get back in the door. You know, and it's whether it uses, it hardly has any, it just never works just doing one-on-one with me. It just, I see it, I recognize it, and it's just like, poof, get away, stop. It's like a mosquito bite. It's like a mosquito. But it doesn't stop there. No, it doesn't stop there. It'll use mass consciousness. It'll use groups. It'll use people that I really care about. It will use anything to distract me, to get me off my game. And the last 2 weeks, it's kind of like there was something on my chest. And I felt like if you've ever been driving around and construction, especially in the city, when they build a trench, and there's people in that trench or something, and they will have a steel plate. And it's about 8 feet wide and about 12 feet long and about 1 inch thick. Yeah, it's a pretty heavy duty plate. Well, that's what it felt like on my chest. And I couldn't figure it out. And the standard answers don't fit Don Smith. They don't. And I just kept, okay, what happened? When did it happen? When did this take place? And then, you know, I was low in energy, and this one guy called me and said, Don, you got coronavirus. I hung up on him. And, you know, just that foolishness of the outside world. And I couldn't quite figure it out. Now remember that the ego uses our own creativity, our own way, our thinking, our own. That's what it uses. And it's it'll do everything and anything. It's merciless. It doesn't take prisoners. No, it's got one thing in mind, is to survive and stay alive. Yeah. And even if you've booted it out and your light is really bright, well, it will use something. It'll use something from the masses. Something that, you know, and one of the triggers was, you know, the Great Reset. That bothered me. And I kept thinking, okay, who's this guy that keeps giving me things that bothers me? Ah, that's who it is. Yeah, so the ego is using him to feed me. Excuse me. Anyway, anything to get me out of my light. It just, like I said, takes no prisoners. It's only one job, is to stay alive. And so, yeah, the key about it was that it was, this steel plate was preventing me from having this high energy. Okay, what's going on here? Like, what's going on? And and then keeping in mind that the universe and the divine always finds a way to intervene when we're not having difficulty. Yeah, it does that all the time. All we have to do is be open and aware. And last night, you know, when I awoke, and there's a just that quiet moment where there's no thought, nothing, and the divinity just downloaded some, Don, what about this? And yes, of course, there it was. And it was like, what happened was, when I started when I started the talking to the people about this getting this interactive face that could take up to 1 million people, and it was like, oh my God, I could interact with 1 million people at a time. Oh my God. And we had 2 meetings with them already, and they started with 100,000. I said, seriously, guys? Yeah, but like the biggest crowd was 85. Tony Robbins was 22. I said, I'm not talking about either one of them. That's not what I'm talking about. I said, tell me what the number is. Is it 250? Well, no, it could go higher. Is it 500? No, it could go higher. Is it 750? No, it could go higher. Can you do 1 million, yes or no? He said, well, we don't like to promise things that we haven't done. I said, can you do 1 million? He said, yes, it's possible. I said, good, that's all I need to know. That's all I need to know. Now let's figure out how to do that. And so, we have a call today to confirm some things. Wow. And then the other thing is so I had this vision, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, it's coming to fruition. It's this close to do 1 million people in one day. Yes, around the world. Yes. And so it was like really exciting. Now keeping in mind, the biggest trick of the ego is when we're in our brightest light. That's when it tries to stop us, because that is when it no longer exists. So it throws everything at the kitchen sink at you, including the kitchen sink, trying to get you out of your light. And it doesn't, in my case, that one-on-one, it doesn't. It's like a mosquito bite. But it uses the masses. It uses the masses. And one of the things that, I'll call it a weakness, it's a strength and a weakness. You know, I trust people to the nth degree. I really do. I open my heart and soul and I give her all. I give it all. I trust totally. I listen to people, I trust them. And then, a week ago, there was a major, major betrayal. Someone that I spent a ton of time with. Yes. And so, it was pretty serious. That threw me for a loop. Now, when I say a loop, it usually goes into 48 hours if it's really serious, 24 if it's not. And anyway, that threw me off my game. And trying to figure it out. And usually there's like 3 or 4 or 5 things that happen. So it's like, okay, which one was it? Or were they all together? Or that kind of thing. So anyway, keeping in mind, we're talking about the ego here. And I liken it to, I had a sweetheart up in the wilderness, and she really lived up in the wilderness. Like it was from the last town, it was a 2.5 hour boat ride, even further away. It was a village of 8 people in a community, about 4 houses. That's how remote it was. Every once in a while you walk out in a cabin, and of course there's the ocean right there underneath your cliff, and there would be a cougar lying beside there was a big log there, lying by the log, waiting to pounce. Well, that's the ego. Finding all its ways. That's trickery to either get you out of your light or stop you from getting in it. That's it. And so with all this bright light and all of this vision, and yes, it can happen, we got it, it's coming. And then this gigantic plate that felt like, it was 8 feet by 12 feet by 1 inch thick. on my chest. I couldn't figure it out. But the divine found a way through all of the clutter and all the betrayals and all of the things not working and all of the people lying and being deceitful and not doing what they said they were going to do, and people giving me a hard time and wanting their money back, and like just all of that drama foolishness. And then that's the first person that wanted their money back in about 8 years. Yeah. So I worked 3 times as hard with him than anyone, and he did 10 times as much effort trying to make sure that it didn't work. And then said he wanted his money back. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So anyway, all of those things were all adding up. And then it came to me last night. Got it. So now I'm coming back. Yeah, coming back into full recovery. Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, we got a meeting today. The world's gonna know. World's gonna know within 24 hours of something major. It's pretty exciting. So there you have it. So know this. Everything the ego does is selfish, self-centered, and its only purpose, its only one goal, is for it to stay alive. And it will absolutely destroy you in the process. It has none of a sense of you, the individual. No. Its goal is, I need to stay alive. I'm going to keep this guy alive as long as I can while I'm killing him or her, whether it's with a disease or whatever. Now, and it will do everything it can to survive in that process while it's killing you. That's the ego. Yep. It takes no prisoners. It takes no prisoners. So anyway, your divinity is the only thing that works against it. Yeah, it just literally cannot survive in light. No, it can't. And we are spreading light to humanity. And one day, we'll be announcing that day tomorrow. Bye-bye.